माधवा
अच्युतानन्द गोविन्द माधवा
अच्युतानन्द गोविन्द माधवा
सच्चिदानन्द नारायण हरे सच्चिदानन्द नारायण हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण मुकुन्द जनार्दना कृष्ण गोविन्द 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 नारायण हरे अच्युतानन्द गोविन्द माधवा
अच्युतानन्द गोविन्द माधवा
अच्युतानन्द गोविन्द माधवा
अच्युतानन्द गोविन्द माधवा
सच्चिदानन्द नारायण हरे सच्चिदानन्द नारायण हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण मुकुन्द जनार्दना कृष्ण गोविन्द नारायण हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण मुकुन्द जनार्दना कृष्ण गोविन्द नारायण हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण मुकुन्द जनार्दना कृष्ण गोविन्द नारायण हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण मुकुन्द जनार्दना
How is my
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Together we chant Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verses 26 to 34.
पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयं यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहं भक्त्युपहृतम् अश्नामि प्रयतात्मनः यत्करोषि यदश्नासि यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत्तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम् शुभाशुभफलैरेवम् मोक्ष्यसे कर्मबन्धनैः सन्न्यासयोगयुक्तात्मा विमुक्तो मामुपैष्यसि समोऽहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेष्योऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम् अपि चेत् सुदुराचारः भजते मामनन्यभाक् साधुरेव समन्तव्यः सम्यग्व्यवसितो हि सः क्षिप्रं भवति धर्मात्मा शश्वच्छान्तिं निगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि न मे भक्तः प्रणश्यति मां हि पार्थव्यपाश्रित्य येऽपि स्युः पापयोनयः स्त्रियो वैश्यास्तथा शूद्राः तेऽपि यान्ति परां गतिम् किं पुनर्ब्राह्मणाः पुण्याः भक्ता राजर्षयस्तथा अनित्यमसुखं लोकम् इमं प्राप्य भजस्व माम् मन्मना भव मद्भक्तः मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि युक्त्वैवम् आत्मानं मत्परायणः.
We have been studying the part where the Lord assures us that spiritual development is for everyone. There is no one who is debarred from spiritual development, no matter what you are. Because development as a human being, like almost any other development, is not really a matter of how bad you are at something. It's more a matter of how much do you want to become good at it. That drive that you want to become good at it will make you so. Even in common life, you see that, right? Suppose you have a daughter to get married off. Would you rather marry her to a poor man who is is going to make it there because he's so determined, or a rich man who is doing ayashi? Who would you prefer? So it doesn't matter how much wealth you currently have. What is important is, are you working to get in a better position or not? You could be, just an example, I don't know the gentleman, but you could be Vijay Mallya, and I read somewhere that he says, oh, I'm living off my girlfriend in the UK. So you could be the so-called rich who need to live off people, or you could be a young Dhirubhai Ambani who has determined that he's going to become what he became. So always in life, it is not so important what you are, but where you choose to go. Even in a marriage, your marriage may be a complete mess. That's not so important. What is important is, where do you choose to go? Could be anything in life. Your health may be very bad. But the important question is, where do you choose to go? You can sit down and grumble about how bad everything is, or you can say, no, I'm going to get better. And that's true for everything in life. And obviously for spiritual development. Now in other things, there is some kind of, there's some kind of cap on how much you can do it. Because it's based on inherent ability. Like suppose I'm terrible at cricket and I decide I want to become a great cricket player. There's a cap on it. I may still not play for India, considering I've never in my life picked up a bat so far. So maybe there's a cap on it. Maybe there's some seniors team that I could probably become eligible for, but I may not play the main team for India. That's a cap one. But the good news is that in spiritual life, no such gap, because all of us are humans. We have the same ability as far as human development is concerned. And that is equal for all of us. So even if you had compared, said, oh no, but only so much I can do with health or wealth or relationship or whatever, but not with spiritual growth. You can be anybody or anything and achieve realization. You know, in the scriptures, they give you so many examples of this, like the criminal Valmiki became the saint Valmiki. The king Vishwamitra, what was his name? The king became Saptarishi, Vishwamitra. The multitude of examples for that. So that's what he is talking about. So he gave us some belief that people have that women cannot achieve self-realization, or Vaishyas and Shudras, the lower caste, cannot achieve self-realization. There is some belief like that, but he assures us that this is an incorrect belief, that even if they are of sinful birth means very agitated people. So who are these very agitated people? People who are what he calls women. Women means the nature of women is to be attached, conservative. More than attached, let's say conservative. Because that is how society was formulated at that time. That the women stayed at home and looked after the children and the household affairs, and the men went out into the world. And so therefore they were naturally better educated because they had to handle whatever it is that they had to do. So they had what was known as Paurushatvam. Paurushatvam means an exploratory spirit, a willingness to go into the unknown. The women were homebound. A lot because of that nature also. So all those people who are more conservative in their approach. Conservative means जो है वो अच्छा है, वो भला है, इतना ही बस हमारे लिए. That attitude is the attitude of being attached to what is currently available. That attitude is considered to be a womanly quality because it's representative of that physical quality of staying at home versus going out. Only representative. So in real sense, it's anybody who's attached. Could be a man or a woman. Okay, so anyone who's attached is naturally agitated. Why? Why does an attached person get agitated? Because they can see what is attachment. It sees only very little. So any variation in that very little makes a big difference in their life. Like if you have only one child and something happens to that child, he comes first in class or he comes last in class, it's a matter of great agitation because your entire attention is fixed on that child. But if you have 25 children to worry about, now one comes first, one comes last, you can't do it. So when the mind expands, your attachment by nature has to come down. You can't do it. So people who are conservative, whose attention is on a very small portion, are naturally more attached and therefore naturally more agitated. So he says, even if you are an attached person, meaning even if you're an agitated person, what is the problem with being an agitated person? That your intellect doesn't function. So even if you are that kind of person whose intellect doesn't function, even then you can attain realization. First category. Second category are the Vaishyas and Sudras. Is anybody new in this class? Has anybody unfamiliar with the caste system, or do you all know about the caste system? Is anybody in the class unfamiliar with the caste system? Neeta Gaglani, are you new to the class? I seem to have seen this name for the first time. Neeta? Sriram Devvala. I think that's a new name. Why don't the new people speak to me? You people are giving them a feeling that I eat people, is it, if they speak to me? I don't know what the rest of the class are.
Hello. Actually, yeah, I'm new to this session. So this is the first time I have joined this session.
Okay. So I'm safe, Sriram. It's okay to talk to me. Seema, are you also new? Seema? No? Okay, so so Sriram, there are in Vedanta, the human thoughts are divided into three things. There's a classification of three. Tamas, which is a state of indolence, ignorance, inertia. Rajas, which is a state of activity and agitation. And Sattva, which is a state of wisdom, poise, being transactive. That means you're a very productive person, but you don't appear to be doing much. So a tamasic person is basically a lazy person. He doesn't do anything. A rajasic person, he does a lot, but by doing so much, he gets totally stressed. And a sattvic person is, he achieves a lot, but there is no stress, there's no agitation in his life. So these are the three types of temperaments we all have. To the extent we have sattva, we are called Brahmins. To the extent we have rajas, strong rajas, we are known as Kshatriyas. When tamas and rajas sort of equalize, that means rajas has come down quite a lot, tamas has gone up quite a lot, we become Vaishyas, the traders. And when it's mostly tamasic, then you become labor class, the Shudras. Now, this is a classification based on our thoughts and not on our birth. As defined in the Bhagavad Gita, I didn't make that up, okay, it's there in the Bhagavad Gita. So there is a mistaken belief that this is to do with birth, it is to do with the way you think. So the Vaishyas and Shudras are basically people who are less inclined to work and more inclined towards being petty selfishness. So those people who are selfish in life, who are lazy in life, he says, even they can attain realization. Isn't it amazing? Basically, all he's saying is that everybody can. That is what he has been saying all along. That anybody and everybody can attain to spiritual development, can attain him. He has debarred nobody. We debar him, but he doesn't debar anybody. We say, oh, I'm not interested in spiritual growth. But he says, if you are interested in spiritual growth, then I accept you. And that's what every person, as they grow, they become like that. They are accepting of everybody. We may reject them, but they are accepting of everybody. They are accepting of those who reject them also. They don't have a problem with that. They are okay with everybody and everything. Okay, so that's how far we have gone so far. So all the women who are upset to see the word women, please don't misunderstand the Gita. It's not trying to run women down. In our scriptures, women are not run down. In fact, women are highlighted. In fact, the highest highlight, okay, in Vedanta, the biggest thing you can have is knowledge, right? Who rules over knowledge?
Saraswati.
Saraswati.
So how can it be possible that women are looked down on in terms of knowledge? The very goddess, it's not a god of knowledge, it's a goddess of knowledge. So it's this conception is incorrect. It is something superimposed upon the community. It is not traditionally accepted version. In fact, in the Upanishads, the sage Yagnavalkya gives the Upanishad, he teaches the Upanishad to Maitri. That is the Upanishad, what he's teaching the woman. In fact, there are also some references in the Vedas where they say that, there's a class or something going on and they ask pregnant women or something to leave because they're about to talk about something. So that also shows that they're very much there in the class, in the ritual, in the class, in every part of it. And of course, Gita is Mother Gita. You don't call Gita dad, do you? It's always Mother Gita. So there is obviously no negative thought association between women and knowledge. No such thing. We have a big tradition of highly educated women. In fact, 5 great women in the Indian culture, Draupadi, Ahilya, whatever, Kunti, Ahilya, whatever, all of them are considered to be great representations of women. So, and Vaishya and Shudra, of course, please don't misunderstand that either, because as you know, he has defined it. He says Vaishyas are those who have a mixture of tamas and rajas, and Shudras are those who are mostly tamasic, which is why they're labor class. What is it about being labor class that is so tamasic? It is that they don't think. You have to give them instructions and you have to force them to follow those instructions. Otherwise, it doesn't occur to them what they're doing. Yesterday, I told one of the staff members to please put something into something, but you put a paper in so that, whatever you're putting it in doesn't get spoiled. I was telling him to put one bag into another bag. And you line it with paper so that the wheels and all don't spoil the inside of the bag. Not very complicated. So he did exactly as I told him. You put the paper, then you put the bag, and exactly where the wheels were, there was no paper at all. So it is like, it never occurs to them what they are doing. Or I remember another time a new maid had come to our house. I told you about her. She said, do you know how to make dahi? Yes, I know how to make dahi. But knowing how they claim, I said, okay, take some milk, heat it a little bit, and then add little dahi into it. And when your dahi is done, you put it in the fridge. So our wonderful lady, she heated the milk a little, she put the dahi exactly as I told her, and then she stirred it exactly as I told her, and then she picked up the vessel and she put it in the fridge. So nothing is self-evident, absolutely nothing. So this is the nature of tamas, that when you tell them, they don't get it. And that is how our tamas also functions. Even when we are told, we don't get it. So every one of us has all these qualities. The only question is, what do we have more of? So how many times do you need to be told something before you actually get what that person is saying? So among the Parsis, most Parsis, they don't tolerate fools. So they have this thing. I will tell you once. If you don't get it, then nobody's going to tell you again. They're going to just write you off as a bad debt. So the nature of tamas is that effort is difficult. And obviously, therefore, intellectual effort can't be done at all. Okay, for all those who are new, I hope that is clear. And for all those who are old, I am assuming it is already clear. If it is not, please ask. Everybody clear about this so far? Okay, so then let us go to the next verse, verse 34. Isn't it? No, sorry, we are on verse 33. Verse 33, sorry, Omkar. किं पुनर्ब्रह्मणा पुण्याः भक्ता राजर्षयस्तथा अनित्यमसुखं लोकम् इमं प्राप्स्य भजस्व माम् किं पुनर्ब्रह्मणा पुण्याः भक्ता राजर्षयस्तथा अनित्यमसुखं लोकम् इमं प्राप्य भजस्व माम् किं पुनर्ब्रह्मणा पुण्याः. So what did he say? He says Vaishyas and Shudras can reach. Kim punar punyaha. Then what about Brahmins? Those Brahmins highly endued with sattva, bhakta, rajarshayastata, and those rajarishis who are endowed with bhakti, who have bhakti. So if it is possible for everyone to reach self-realization, then just think how much easier is it for the Punya Brahmins, the Punyavan Brahmins and the devout Rajarishis. Rajarishi is an interesting concept in our scriptures, which is really something that nice to have this concept known to everybody. Rajarishi means a Raja who is a Rishi. A Raja who's a Rishi means it's like somebody like Rama. He is the king, but he is a Rishi. So this was the tradition that the kings or Janaka was a king, but a highly detached person. So these Raja Rishis were considered to be highly developed materially, like very rich, very successful, and very high values in life. Very, very high levels of detachment. In fact, they are all shown as eventually giving up the kingdom and going away. Even somebody like Bhartrahari. Bhartrahari was a Raja, was a king. He was the elder brother, tradition says, the legend says, of the king Vikramaditya. And he was the elder son, Bhartrahari. And he has the 3 Shatakas, which you have probably heard of. Shrungara Shataka, where he explains all about Shrungar. Then Niti Shataka, which is all about morality. And then finally he writes his gem, which is the Vairagya Shatakam. The Vairagya Shatakam talks about the quality of detachment. Very, very beautiful verses to detachment. And amazing things that he writes there, such beautiful poetry. He says things like, we feel that we are killing time, but actually time is killing us. Time is not dying, right? We are dying. When we say time pass, it is us who are passing. Time is not passing, time is there. So when we do time pass, who are we really killing? Are we really using our time over here in any kind of meaningful, productive sense? You say time pass. Time pass? No, I pass. And my passing is my failure. It's not my passing. So beautiful verses. And then another one that he has, which he talks about, oh desire, what have I not done for you? And then he gives what all he has done in the pursuit of desire. I have recounted my virtues for those. You know, to get a job, don't you have to recount your virtues? So I recounted my virtues. It's considered to be a negative thing to talk about yourself, right? And yet, when we write our CVs, when we write our biodata, do we not have to recount our virtues? So basically, we've sold ourselves to get something from the world. And please, I'm not against the writing of CVs and all that, but we have to understand we are doing in the pursuit of our desires so many things which we ourselves, if we take a step back, may recoil at. So he says, what, oh desire, have I not done for you? I have recounted my virtues. I have done this, I have done that, so many things. And then he says, he ends that portion by saying that, and yet you are not satisfied. No matter what I have done to you, oh desire, you are raging just as strong. How many things will we have to get before we say enough is enough? We're never going to say that, are we? But every stage, there is one more thing for us to get. One more thing to be agitated about. One more thing to keep us awake at night. And then whole life is over because that's what we did. It's a frightening thought. So he's written 100 verses on Vairagya. He first begins with Shrungar. I suppose he must be young, and he wrote about Shrungar and romance. And then he grew on to learn about Niti, morality. And from that to Vairagya. Very nice. But he was the king. After writing Vairagya Shatakam, or before whatever, he gives up, he walks out of his kingdom. And there's a nice story also around that, which totally off the point, but now that I am gossiping, I'll tell you this beautiful story. Somebody comes and gives him a fruit for immortality. If you can read between the lines. He has the fruit of immortality. And he loves his wife very dearly. So he wants his wife to stay young and pretty and give her the fruit of immortality. So he gives this fruit to his wife. This wife loves one of the courtiers in the court. And she wants him to have that fruit. So she gives him that fruit of immortality. That courtier loves one of the dancers in the court. So he gives that fruit to that dancer. To the, what do they call them? You know, the ones who come and dance in the court. So she thinks to herself, I'm just a dancer in the court. I'm not such an important person. The person who's really keeping all this going for us is the king. He is so great. So she goes and hands that fruit back to the king. And so the beautiful verse is, diktam, what is it? Shame on me, shame on the wife, shame on the courtier, shame on the dancer, shame. It's a beautiful verse because he realizes the futility of this whole thing. And the story goes that he renounces his kingdom and goes away. So the moral of all these stories is that he's a king, and yet he's able to see through all that materiality, all that glamour, all that. He's able to eventually see it. So these kind of people who are at the height of prosperity and yet understand the value of it. What is the true value of these things? Those were known as the Raja Rishis. So he says the Vaishyas and the Shudras can get it. Then why would not the holy Brahmins who spend their lives in teaching, in education, and in just service? The Brahmins never even asked for any payment for their service. It was the culture of this country that teachers were not given a salary. There was no salary for teachers. There was only the principle of Guru Dakshina. So, a student, grateful for what he has received from his master or her master, goes and offers whatever they can, whatever, and no questions asked about it whatsoever. And so they used to have the concept of the Daridra Brahman, because he would teach. He didn't care whether you would pay him or not, give him something or not, be grateful to him or not. And so sometimes he may be very poor. So not always, but it could happen. And so there was one extreme of this poverty associated with people who lived their life in service, and the other extreme of people who are at the height of luxury. But the one common thing between them both was, what happened? Was
Detachment.
yes, very good. Detachment. So why do they make such a big hoobaloo about this whole thing? One fellow is in deep poverty, one fellow is at the height of richness. Just to tell us that your possessions don't matter one way or the other, whether you have it or you don't have it. Your detachment is not measured by what possessions you have. Detachment is detachment. A rich man may have it, a poor man may have it. It's got nothing to do with it. It's like education. A rich man may have it or a poor man may have it. It's got nothing to do with whether you're rich or poor. A person is detached or he is not. So you can't say, oh my God, look at that person. He has such a big car. He's a very attached person. No, you can't say that. You can't look at a person and say, oh my God, look, he's so poor. He has nothing. He's a very detached person. No, you can't. You may have or you may not have. Detachment is a separate quality. But what he is talking of over here is, in either case, whether you are a Punyavan Brahmin or a Raja Rishi, Raja Rishis, remember, they go out in war. They have to capture land and whatever it is they do. As kings, they have to protect their territory, they have to go to war, they have to do all sorts of things. But both of these, the Punyavan Brahmin is high sattva. The Raja Rishis are very high rajas tending to sattva. Like maybe the Rajputs and all. Extremely high in their prowess, in their skill, in their bravery, all part of rajas. And just as high in terms of their sacrifice, in terms of their capacity of detachment and all of that. So it's very high rajas tending to sattva. When the rajas comes down and tends into tamas, then you become the Vaishya. And of course, very high tamas is the Shudra. So, since it's so easy, since even Vaishyas and Sudras, even those who have high tamas and and equal rajas and tamas, even they can achieve realization, then how much easier for those who are in sattva or tending towards sattva? That is his point. In other words, he's encouraging us that you're already here. It will become so much easier if you decide to do it. Now, what are you to do? So interesting thing. Bhajaswa mam. Bhajaswa, imperative for all those who are in the Sanskrit class. I hope a lot of you are in the Sanskrit class. It's nice to know a little bit of the Sanskrit because the grammar itself teaches you. And nice to know because you're studying this subject. So nice to know the language in which it's written. Or, in India, even in the university, if you want to study Gita or something, you are not required to study Sanskrit. But in the foreign universities, if you're studying Homer or you're studying whichever classical literature you're learning, you're expected to have exposure to that classical language as well, whether it is Greek or Latin or whichever one you're doing. Whether if you're reading Enid or something, whichever one you're studying, you will have to have some exposure to that language. Seems more sensible than the way we do it. So that's why there are some Sanskrit classes running. If you are not part of them, and if you can be part of them, then please do so. Kim punar brahmanaha punyaha. Punyaha brahmanaha. The Punya Brahmins and the Bhakta Rajarshaya. The Bhakti Yuktaha Rajarishi. The devout Rajarishi. How easy for them to do what? Bhajasva, imperative. Bhajasva mam, to pursue me. That means to seek self-realization. Now you say, oh my God, I have to do self-realization. I'll have to leave all this. You don't have to physically leave anything, but you have to understand something very critical. That is what he is speaking of, and that is why this is a famous thing. Anityam asukham lokam imam. Imam anityam asukham cha lokam. What are you leaving? You're leaving this loka. Loka in Sanskrit refers to world. You're leaving this world. World in the sense of experience. What kind of experience are you leaving? You're leaving anityam, asukham. Nityam, permanent. Anityam, impermanent. When you add a in Sanskrit, it becomes ulta. Shoka, ashoka. Nityam, anityam. Kalam, akalam. So whenever you put a, it becomes opposite. Anityam. What kind of experiences do we have? All of them. Anityam. Whatever it is not going to last. This is the sad tragedy of our existence, which we do not seem to recognize. You could be Miss, what was she, Universe or something. Yeah, Aishwarya Rai was Miss Universe or Miss World or something like that. And Shushmita Sen and all these people. How long does that crown last? How long does that beauty last? And yet, how much weeping must have been done to attain that beauty? How much fear to be supplemented in that beauty, supplanted in that beauty. When you already know this is an impermanent thing, then why give it so much importance? Why give it so much value? That doesn't mean that you should be negligent towards it. Because when you are negligent towards it, please understand that you are giving it value. So in other words, can you put on your cream and do your exercises, whatever it is you do to take care of your health, to take care of your beauty? Can you do all of that knowing fully well that it's impermanent? Then if you know it's impermanent, what are you taking care of it for? Why are you taking care of it if it is so impermanent? Firstly, we say it's impermanent, it's useless. And then we say take care of it. Why?
Because you need the body to be able to realize yourself.
Yes, true. But
So
I'm
you have
talking
to
about beauty
maintain.
over here.
Being negligent is tamas.
Okay, so that is true. But why take care of beauty? Because there's a desire. So we are saying you shouldn't have that desire, Asha. We take care of what we have, whatever it is, out of gratitude. If you are beautiful, it's a wonderful thing. There is much that you will get in your life because you are beautiful. Every beautiful woman knows how much easier it is to get something because she looks good. It's a wonderful thing. Take care of it out of gratitude. If you have intelligence, take care of your intelligence out of gratitude. Whatever you have been given a gift. Take care of it. Your body, your eyes, your ears, your stomach, the bacteria in the stomach. What a big role the bacteria in the stomach play towards our health is only now being sort of cognized. First, we used to think just eat good food, eat carbs and proteins and vitamins, and you're good to go. But actually, amazing, all your carbs and vitamins and proteins will not work for you if those bacteria don't work. So now probiotics, prebiotics, and the body won't work. Now they're saying that these microbes in the brain also, all of it making it work. Are we not grateful to the system? Are we grateful to our glasses because of which we can see? Are we grateful to the hair that is still there? Are we grateful to our family who are fulfilling our needs? So we look after our homes, our families, our bodies, our minds, our intellect, because we're using all these things. They're useful for us. And in our gratitude, thank you that I have this. We look after it. But when you start looking after it, to maintain it and make sure it stays with you and never will go away, which is what everybody does, then this causes tremendous stress. So philosophy says, please understand, whatever you have, it is anityam. It is impermanent. That doesn't mean you take it and you throw it in the sea. It means be grateful that it is with you right now. Take care of it. And whenever it leaves you, have the heart to say goodbye. That's true of everything and everybody. How much these husbands and wives, they bicker all the time. All the time. Where is the gratitude that you have a spouse? That you have one at all? There are many people who don't have a spouse and they are crying because they don't have a spouse. Now we have a spouse. Where's the gratitude? Why did you do this? No. Why are you going there? Why are you doing this? Who told you to do that? No. Whole day they're at each other's necks. Grateful. I have a spouse. Maybe imperfect, but I still have one. Other people also, nobody has a perfect spouse. Everybody has an imperfect spouse, and I have an imperfect spouse, and other people are just longing to have this spouse. Not my spouse, but some spouse. So why am I not grateful for what I have? The other day, we got a call saying that a friend had passed away, hardly 58 years old. His daughter was to get married in December. Now, can you imagine? Like literally nothing. He went to the washroom, got a heart attack, and passed away. That's it. So basically, for the lady, her husband went to the bathroom, and that was the end. Now, the question is, what had been their talk from the time he got up to him visiting the washroom? Maybe she was bickering. I don't know. I have no idea what she did. And suppose she had been bickering, she'd be telling him, और आप ऐसे हो, आप वैसे हो, आपने तो मैंने कितने दिन से बोला कि वो नलका ठीक करो, अभी तक किया नहीं है, something if she had been going on. Her last memory would be that is what I was saying to her. Now, knowing everything is impermanent, knowing everything is uncertain, is that what you want as your last memory with people? Like anytime, anyhow. I remember my mother passed away. That time she was telling me that you have to go and do this for me. I can't do this now. You must go and do X, Y, and Z. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I'll go to the market. I'll get you all this stuff. That's my last memory of it. Because you don't know. Somebody who is there this moment, the next moment, I have no idea. Literally. Do you want that person to go away without them knowing that you were grateful for what they did for you? So use, they say, use death as your witness. Use death as your witness when you are about to do whatever you're about to do. Think about it. Anityam. Instead of looking at everything with gratitude, looking at it with care, we tend to look at it with demands, with clinging. When you look at something with either the attitude of a demand or with the attitude of clinging, when that parting moment comes, you're devastated. But if you look at that thing with gratitude, with care, I'm going to take care of it. I'm not going to be negligent. I'm going to take very good care of it. Because I'm so grateful, then when the parting moment comes, you will have the satisfaction of having done all that was possible to be done. And there is no greater satisfaction than that. So, we must not misunderstand philosophy when it says everything in this world is impermanent. Now, everything in the world is impermanent, so you turn your nose up at everybody. That's what it means. It means use that opportunity to be of service, to take care of your things, to serve them because of the gratitude. Imagine if you didn't have it. So you look after your hair, your eyes, your skin, whatever in the world with gratitude. You look after your family members, even your staff, your neighbors, your Vedanta studies. Remember that it's all impermanent. We don't know on what day the whole thing may shut down. We don't know that, right? Shilpa will remember one day we were doing Prem Puri class and we were thinking next week we'll come meet again. But after that class, I've never met Shilpa. She has never met me. Somebody who I met every week. I haven't seen her now for 2 years. And now I see all of you who I have never met. strange is the nature of this world. Anityam. That's why we are trying to have a retreat, so that at least we get a chance to meet each other. We've never seen each other. I mean, we've seen each other. So many people whose faces I've not seen. You have, of course, seen my face, but that's about it. So, this impermanence that we live with is something that should be very clear to us. It is impermanent, anityam. And it has another quality. Not only is it impermanent, it has one more quality. What the qualities of what are we talking about?
This impermanent world,
The qualities of what?
the world.
World.
Yeah, loka means your experience. It's a very interesting connotation in Sanskrit, which is loka. Loka means world or experience. So you have Devaloka, Brahmaloka, Pataloka. Means those are your experiences. What kind of experiences are you going through? So, what are our experiences? What is this world that we inhabit? Number one, it is impermanent. I think that is clear, right? And it's got a second quality, a more difficult quality for us to perceive. When you are explained impermanence, you will know for certain that it is impermanent, right? Does anyone doubt impermanence? Are we all okay with impermanence of the world? Right? Why don't more of you all switch on your videos? I see only such few faces. Usha I see, Shilpa I see. Very good. Suman also I haven't seen for years. I don't know how many years I've not seen. So, impermanence is clear. Priya, how to care without being attached? When we care for someone who is sick, our thought flow goes on caring for them, being alert. Yes, directed thought flow. When it is indirected thought flow, then it becomes a clinging. When you direct it towards service of another person, you will do two things. You will elevate yourself from selfishness to something higher. And two, if you were to lose that thing, it will not devastate you. So it has to be a discriminate thought flow. Okay, correct. So that occasionally at least I should see some faces, you know. Otherwise I'm seeing a blank screen and I think only Shilpa and Jyoti are listening to me. What is everybody else doing? Okay, so. Okay, are you okay, Priya?
Yes, thank you.
So first quality is, it is impermanent, which we can understand with explanation. And what do we do about that impermanence? Number two, more difficult to understand. Asukham. Asukham means there is no joy in it. This is difficult for us to understand because we can say that, okay, I accept that the joy goes away, but I cannot accept that there is no joy in the world. This is a very strange concept. No joy? How can you say no joy? You can say impermanent joy, okay, that is understandable, but no joy? No joy. I am not saying, please, it's written in your text. That's why I told you. Sanskrit, when you say you mean opposite. Sukham, you all know. Sukham, no joy. How no joy? Think about this. We are chasing something in this world with the belief that when we get that thing, we will become happy. And when we do get that thing, you become happy. Okay, you wanted 9 wants many students in his class. And he gets many students in his class. Okay, and then all the students say, oh, 9 teaches us so well. And how does 9 feel? Yes, oh, very happy. All the students are saying he's teaching well. So we are saying, no, he didn't feel happy because of that. He said, what nonsense. I got students and my students said I was teaching them so well, so I'm happy. I experienced that happiness. Now analyze this carefully. Suppose he gets 10 students who according to him have told us that he teaches very well and he's very happy. Okay? Then tomorrow he gets 20 students who claim that he teaches very well and he's very happy, and they're all very happy, and so he's very happy. Right? So he becomes very happy now. 20 students are saying I teach well. Now look back on that previous thing when 10 students were telling him. Suppose his 20 students become 10 students again, and they again, the same 10 students are still telling him that he teaches very well and they're very happy with him. What will be his pleasure content? So then, in that case, did the pleasure content lie in them telling him something? Because under two conditions, he got exactly the same thing. In one condition, he claims he's happy. In the same condition, in another time, he claims he's unhappy. So can that condition, can that situation be the cause of his joy? Is the question. I hope the example is clear. Naim had 10 students who praised him and he was happy. Then he got 20 students who praised him and he was happy. Okay. Then 10 students left. Now he's back to 10 students who are still praising him. The pleasure he got in the first instance of 10 students praising him and the pleasure he got in the second instance of 10 students praising him, is it the same? If it is not the same, then where is the pleasure coming from? Because that situation is exactly the same. 10 students are praising. What Vedanta says is, it didn't come from the praise in the first place. Because that praise is incapable of giving that joy. It's a difficult concept. You have 1 week to think about it. Okay, so that's it for today. Hari Om.